Hey witches, it's Vivian the Dark Farm Kiss. So I just do want to really deeply apologize for how late this video is. I know that I said that I was going to be doing these weekly or every week and a half or every other week. That's my cat Voodoo. He's trying to get in there where all my gerbils are. He can't, so he's trying to figure out that. Get away from that. Ew, don't touch that. Ew. Sorry, he's not normally allowed in here because I do have poisonous plants in here, but they're all put up right now, so I left the door open. And also because my son is sleeping, so I wanted to be able to hear him if he woke up. So this week for 13 Witches Herbs that mean the most to me, it is going to be one of my favorite herbs, a plant that I grow a lot. I've grown a lot of it this summer. I have to say it's one of my favorite plants to grow and work with and cultivate, and it's like I have these babies. Like I just grew such a strong connection with it. So this week is Henbane. Henbane is becoming one of my all-time favorite plants ever. I'm fairly new to working with and growing Henbane, so I was really surprised on how, I don't want to say easy, but I was fairly surprised on how well it grew, because it can be a little bit picky. I mean, I do know it's one of the easier herbs out of the poison family to grow, but it can be a little bit picky. It does like somewhat dry weather, and this summer's been really, really wet, so some of mine did grow fungus, but for the most part, it did extremely well, so I was very, very pleasantly surprised. But when it comes to Henbane, I was even more pleasantly surprised to find out how much there is on Henbane when it comes to history, mythology, magic. I mean, you name it, and it can pretty much do it. Not really, but you know what I mean. So let's get into it. So I try to take notes for these videos so I'm not rambling like an idiot the entire time. Sorry, if you can't hear me when I'm turning around, I am extremely sorry. I'm just trying to keep an eye on him. I don't want him to end up getting into anything and then me really, really regretting it. Come here. Sorry. Okay, so one of my main attractions to Henbane is the fact that it is very, 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 very much connected to the darker goddesses. It is an herb of the underworld, so it has a lot of history when it comes to Hecate, and another deity that I am very, very drawn to, the Betinia. She's a goddess of death, a goddess of funerals. People who I plan on doing a whole video about her, so I'm actually not going to really get into it here. So I'm just going to stop myself right there, because I have been trying to search so much about her. Nothing. Like there's very limited information out on her, and that makes me really sad. But yeah, so she's not a very well-known goddess. She's not out there. I personally don't think that she's known or honored as much as she should be. She's very, very important to a lot of things, and it's heartbreaking. But she is connected with Henbane as well. Henbane is a very underworld, dark, chthonic herb. And I guess that's one thing that really attracts me to it. I don't know, I guess because I have such a fascination with death and the underworld and spirits and all that. It's always been a huge fascination and a huge interest of mine. So that was probably one of the main things that drew me to it. It's very connected to the cauldron. If you look into some of the mythologies about it, if you look into a lot of the Greek mythology, especially talking about the Oracle of Delphi, it is connected to the cauldron. It's in the one book that I talk about in a lot of these videos, The Witching Herbs by Harold Roth. He actually goes into it. He has a whole section on Henbane and why he refers to it as the cauldron herb and where he gets his mythology from on how it's connected to the cauldron. Not only are the pods, the way they're shaped, I actually thought I had some in here, but I don't think I do. They look like little tiny cauldrons. which using those in itself, I mean, you can use those as little bowls if you don't want to use it. Be careful if you're putting anything flame or on fire in there, like lighting incense and things like that, because it's still an herb. It's still gonna burn. So be careful. I would definitely put it in like a metal pot or something if you were planning on using it in that form, that way. I was thinking for a really good thing for it was to use it as an offering bowl. I would still refer to it as a cauldron to connect with some of the mythology about it, but to use it as some sort of offering bowl or plate, or to bury the offerings in it on the ground, or doing spell work and placing your spell items in there. I mean, they're not very big, obviously, so you're going to have to either use a whole lot or only have a little bit of amount of stuff. But throwing it in water, just different spells, different things that you can do, just like with anything else that's some kind of container. You can do it with them, and you can add some of that underworld energy to it, some of that change, rebirth, renewal, the things that most of us are doing spells for anyway. So, Henbane's also really good for banishing and binding. Using it, you can stuff a banishing poppet that you're trying to use on someone who's bothering you. You can stuff it with henbane leaves, henbane roots, henbane flowers, anything along those lines. I mean, it's very good. It's another thing that he was talking about in the book, The Witching Herbs, talking about how in, I believe he said medieval England, don't quote me on that because I don't really remember, they would take poppets, stuff them with henbane, stuff them with the henbane leaves, to make a banishing poppet of someone who is overstepping their boundaries, coming into their home, coming to their house, bothering them, things like that. So they would put it outside after they would fill it, consecrate, do what they would do. They would sit outside in a secret place that they knew that the person was either going to always show up at, or the spot that they've seen them at, somewhere outside their home that they knew this person in that area that they were going to be. So they would place it there, and that's how the spell would work. So I thought that was kind of cool. I mean, I don't really have that issue where I have someone coming to my house and bothering me. If I did, I'd probably shoot them, so I don't really have to worry about that. I'm just kidding. I don't own a gun, but I'm just kidding. Don't get offended. Anyway. Sorry. Where was I? Okay. So, another thing about henbane, which I actually thought was kind of interesting, because it's not that I didn't know this, but I guess I never really thought about it like this. But henbane's really not an ecstatic drug. It's more of a twilight sleep kind of drug. So it's not a huge hallucination type issue when it comes to using it in that form. And when I say drug, you know what I mean. When you're using it in that form as a psychedelic and you're trying to really get to that certain state, it actually isn't a full hallucinogen. It's not like some of the other herbs that do make you have more of that ecstatic kind of ecstasy-filled trance. It's complete twilight sleep, which I thought was very interesting, because I thought it was more a hallucinogen, where you're taking it in that form, whether it be an oil, things like that, full ointments, whatever, that you would completely hallucinate. I not completely, but you know what I mean. I thought it was going to be more of a trance state, to the point where you're completely out of it in that moment, in that time. I mean, I found this out a while ago. He does go through it in his book. When I first started doing, looking into henbane and things like that, I found that out actually a couple years ago. But that's something that's always stayed with me, because I always thought that was very interesting. It's just different than some of the other poisonous plants. It has a different feel about it. It has a different nature. It does different things to you. It's actually very much connected with fire and water. It makes your body dry out pretty quickly. So be careful, obviously, if you are going to ingest it and take it internally. You definitely want to be more careful with any poisonous plant. And like I've mentioned in all of these videos with poisonous plants, I'm sorry, I don't know what my issue is again, but like I said, with any poisonous plant, you want to be respectful, you want to be safe. You want to know what you're doing. Do not go buy a bunch of poisonous plants, start digging your fingers in there, and then touching your face. Don't do that. Don't be stupid. Use your brain. any kind of poisonous plant, if you're not respectful to the plant, if you're not treating that plant and that spirit with respect, you're going to get fucked up. You are going to get fucked up at it, and you're going to regret it if you're alive. So don't be dumb. Please use your head. Use your mind. That's why we have them. So, something I did just recently find out about Henbane, which I'm actually pretty excited about because this is one of my favorite forms of magic. It's something that I've always... Oh, are you okay, buddy? Oh. Sorry, my cat fell. He fell in between my bed. Oh, baby, I'm sorry, baby. Sorry. Not he. Sorry, I get into him and I can't stop thinking about my cat. I love him so much. But one of my favorite forms of magic to study and really look into has always been weather magic and storm magic. I recently just found out that it actually was used quite often in England and Germany in medieval times as a plant during different spells that witches would to have rainstorms, hurricanes, things like that. A lot of rain magic, storm magic, and water magic. It's very connected with water magic, which is odd because it has such a strong connection. It's actually very much connected to fire magic. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And once again, I'm going to reference this again. He talks about it again in his book, The Witching Herbs. And I wanted to just say real quick, if you've noticed that I keep kind of going like this and stopping and pausing. I had to pause the video a couple times while I was recording. I had to get my cat. He's getting into stuff. I don't want him to get hurt, so I had to stop the video. So I'm sorry if it looked weird or if I came on and I was saying something over again or something different. Because, like I said before, I do this on my phone. I don't have a computer, so I don't have the option to really edit. Sorry. But, so, back to Henbane. There's a lot that you could actually probably continue to go on with this plant. There's a lot you could do with this plant. I like to dry them out, and I like to keep the pods on them as I dry them out. They're pressing. I like to press them. They're very, very beautiful when they're pressed. You can use it in books. You can use it as any kind of decoration. I think they're gorgeous. As far as magic goes, there's so many different things that you can do about it. Necromancy, divination, like we talked about, underworld connection, anything. Well, I gotta pause the video again. Hold on a second. Sorry about that again. Where was I? What was I saying? I'm sorry. This is why I've been so scatterbrained through this whole video. I almost feel like I should do it again, but I don't really want to. Sorry. I keep having to stop and go again and stop and go again because Voodoo keeps getting into everything. I love my cat to death, but he's my older cat and he acts like a kitten, which is kind of, but I still love him. So, what was I saying? So, I was talking about decorating, and I was talking about the underworld connection, and I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. Henbane is an amazing plant. Just in the short time I've worked with it, I've grown a strong connection to it. Using it in flying ointments, actually, that's my next video after this. Using it in flying ointments, it's definitely a strong feeling. It's a strong connection. It does give me kind of, I don't want to say crazy, because it's not like super intense, like we talked about with it's not crazy dreams. But every time that I use it before I go to bed, and that's not all the time, but I do that quite frequently, where I put flying ointments on before I go to bed, so I can commune with spirits and different entities in my sleep. So I don't want to say that it gives me super out of the ordinary, insane dreams, because it doesn't. But it always gives me a strong connection. I wake up the next morning, and even if I don't remember what happened, I always know something happened, something deep, something that helped me grow, something, because I feel different. I do firmly believe that you don't, in your dream, because I, for one, don't always remember my dreams. As I've gotten older, I'm lucky if I remember a dream in a month, and I try to record them, I try to write them down, and I don't. So I'm a very strong and firm believer in the fact that you don't have to always remember what you're seeing and what you're experiencing in your dreams for it to be mind altering and spiritual awakening and yada yada yada. You don't have to, because your everyday mundane conscious living mind isn't always what you're trying to reach. Like, different parts of your brain that control different aspects of yourself. And you're not always trying to awaken your mundane mind. I mean, you are sometimes, because you're trying to grow spiritually and you're trying to grow consciously as a human being in everyday reality. Yes, you are, but you're a lot of the times trying to really hit that point with your spiritual self, with your spiritual mind in your body. And when you have those types of dreams and those types of experiences, you don't always have to know mentally, physically, consciously what happened. If you know in your spirit, you don't have to remember the details about it, but inside, like your spirit, yourself knows. So that is my take on that. Probably not going to get too much more into this video. But if you haven't tried growing henbane, I would definitely grow it, because I always wanted to work with henbane, but it probably, I guess you could say, it wasn't like my first plant on the list. And I know that sounds weird, but it sounds kind of fucked up, but it was never a plant that I really thought I was going to have such a strong connection to. It was, not that, I don't want to say like it was there, but it was just, okay, like, yeah, definitely I want to try this, but it's not my first priority, until I started growing it. And as soon as those seeds sprouted up, and I was caring for them daily. And yes, any plant you grow, you're going to have that strong connection to it when you work with plants consistently and on a daily basis, and you have connections with them. But it was different. It was like when I'm having a strong, deep connection with a plant and their spirit. It's beautiful. It is, and it's an amazing, amazing plant. And I strongly recommend that you use it safely, responsibly, please. So I'm gonna actually get off here, but I just want to say thank you guys for watching. I'm sorry if this was a little bit screwy.